Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Double Game Week 28 deadline live stream. Again, I do apologise for being slightly late. It isn't a live stream with me unless I'm late to the party, so I do apologise, but it's good to see some usual faces already in the chat. Cheekster, JP, Animations, Immortal Tretney, Dawn. Hope you guys are doing very well, as always. This is your opportunity to get any last minute questions answered, and hopefully I can provide a little bit of value. That is the whole point of these live streams. And of course, I will give you a bit of an update on my team as well, because I have made a transfer and I'm also looking for a little bit of advice from all of you on whether I should take a 4-point hit to confirm my team. So I think we're going to do that on stream. I want to get this locked in the next 10-15 minutes, because I don't really think we're going to get any information between now and then that's going to change my own personal team. So hopefully with the help of you guys, I can get my team locked in. So we're going to go through all that and show you my team in a minute. As always, if you do enjoy it or you just want to support the channel, please do consider dropping a like and of course hitting that subscribe button. But I know a lot of familiar faces on the chat are already subscribers to the channel, but if you are new around here, you want to stick around for the next week or so, it'll be awesome to have you around. So let's get straight into some of the questions, then we'll come into my team and obviously my transfer made and my planned transfer. Also want to go through my long-term moves, because I think it probably will be similar to a lot of people as well. But of course, if you do have a chip strategy that is slightly different that you want to talk about, please do put it in the comment section and we will go through all of that. And of course, being the deadline live stream, this is the perfect opportunity to kind of get really deep with your questions. So don't be like really broad, be very narrow with your question. I don't mind if you want to write out your whole entire team. Hopefully I can get as accurate as possible with your questions. Without further ado, let's get into them. I do apologise, all over the shop this morning. So Cheekster doing very well, JP doing very well. JP's asked, if you had Tony, Haaland, Watkins, which is like a really solid front three, who would you sell if you recommend getting both Morris and Solanke? Wildcard in 31 and you're not free hitting in game week 29. First and foremost, you have to sell Erling Haaland if you're going down that strategy. He doesn't play in game week 29, and of course you can wildcard him back into your team. So I know it sounds scary, but I give you permission to sell Erling Haaland. So he'll be the first one that I would have to sell. Straight after that, I wouldn't be looking to sell either of the other two. I think Tony is obviously the one that I would sell between him and Watkins, but I think you're going to want Tony straight back for game week 29 with a great fixture away against Burnley. So I would do Haaland to Solanke personally. However, because you're not free hitting in game week 29, I think you have to go Morris. I think if you're going down that strategy, so Haaland to Morris makes total sense for your team. And then if you have to make the move, then doing Tony to Solanke this week. But then you've got a problem with Solanke blanking in game week 29. So unfortunately, I think you probably just have to go Morris and ignore Solanke, which I know is a little bit scary. Animations more than everyone. Transfers made. Haaland and KDB to Morris and Burn. It's crazy, isn't it? What world are we living in where those transfers actually make sense? I just can't believe we're selling one of the best goal scorers in the world for Carlton Morris. But I'm not going against that move. I do think it makes a lot of sense for managers, especially those that are not free hitting in game week 29. Going to get Haaland back in either 30 or 31, so we'll take the gamble. Yeah, I totally agree with that move. I think it sounds scary and it sounds ridiculous getting rid of Erling Haaland, but I think it makes sense for Morris if you're not free hitting in game week 29. Dawn, should I do Haaland to Morris from -4? Bear in mind, I'm free hitting in game week 29 and wildcarding in 31. Don't like it for a -4 if that is the case, because Haaland against Liverpool are not solid defensively. We saw what Chelsea created against them, and I do think that they are going to be open against City. I think this is going to be a great game. So I don't think a -4 for Morris is going to pay it off, especially when you're looking to wildcard in game week 31. You're not even getting the value of Morris in game week 29. I would think it's a good move, only if you're planning to not free hit in game week 29. Cheeks, anyone else feel like going crazy on double game week players this week other than Solanke is a bit of a trap? Yes, I do agree with you. I have, spoiler alert, made a transfer for a double game week player, but it was only to strengthen my defence. I think Bournemouth, Luton, they have very low ceilings because they don't really have a lot of options available, but double game weeks are a great opportunity to really capitalise on this week. And if you are going to buy a Bournemouth or Luton player, obviously this is the week to do so. But yes, I do feel like not necessarily a trap, but I think we need to lower our expectations a little bit, because Bournemouth aren't exactly AC Milan defence, are they? I know we're all doubling up on them or going for one defender, but would you be shocked if they were to concede in both games? I wouldn't. I think we probably are exaggerating how good Bournemouth are defensively. Nice background. Thank you, Abode. Yeah, no one's actually complimented that before, so thank you very much. Again, always looking to improve the channel, so next season this channel will probably have a completely new look to it, but hopefully that'll be only for a good thing. Ed Ford, can you talk about why Foden over Garnacho a bit? Can you talk about why Foden over Garnacho? Yeah, it's a really good question, actually, because I haven't actually brought up my team. So let's get my team up right now so you can see it. Hopefully this actually comes up. Perfect. Okay, so here's how my team's looking. Let's go through this a minute. I know what you mean. Garnacho at home against Everton, I've just by default put him on my bench, and Pedro Porro as well, just by default on the bench, but I'm not really expecting a Spurs clean sheet. Even though Pedro Porro could hurt me offensively, I much prefer the Bournemouth defender than Pedro Porro away at Villa Park. Garnacho at home against Everton is actually quite an interesting debate because he could easily come into this team instead of Phil Foden, but for me, I just don't really want to be benching one of the most informed players in the league right now in Phil Foden. When we look at his underlying numbers, expected goal involvement, Man United 1.77, 1.12, 0.5, 0.5. I know the fixture is obviously difficult against Liverpool, but I'm expecting quite a, not necessarily open game, but a lot of chances for both teams. I think Liverpool actually could do them. I've got them down as a 3-2 win for Liverpool. But I think Foden has the opportunity to score here. Now, could Garnacho go off and get one of those rare hat-tricks that he does? Yes, I do think there is a possibility, and he's an unbelievable differential this game week for my own personal team. But I just can't squeeze him in for Phil Foden. I just don't really feel comfortable doing so. But maybe I do need to think about it again. Cheeksy, yes, I did make my own live stream, thankfully, in the end. Peter said, I'm debating on triple captain or Solanke. Sorry, I'm like tiny on the screen. Give me a second. There we go, we're back. Okay, so Peter's saying, I'm debating on a triple captain on Solanke. Do you reckon it's still worth it, even with the news that made out about him not training fully this week? Yes, I think he's going to be okay to play. Of course, I don't actually know anything outside of what we have heard, but I think it's just a case of he's a talisman for Bournemouth. They just haven't put him through full training in case he was to actually just pick up a knock during the week because he's so important to the team. And some of the reports that we've had from people who are in the know have said that he's fine for the weekend. So I would happily put the triple captaincy on him. I'm putting the captaincy on him without any sort of debate on it. I haven't really overthought it at all. So yes, I think you have a triple captain available. The only other week I think is worthwhile is a single game week on Erling Haaland against Luton, or game week 27 where we have a really big double game week. But of course, for a lot of people, that is going to be bench boost territory, and you can't play 2 chips in one game week. So for that reason, unless you have used all your chips and you only have your free your triple captain available, I personally would just use it this game week on a Dominic Solanke. But I do get it, if you have used your bench boost, you've used other things, then I think you could hold off until game week 37 when you use it. Sorry, I'm just making a note here on something. There we go. Right, I do not want to miss a single question because at the end of the day, that is why you are here, to ask your questions. I do not want to be missing a single one. Tom, Neto has another double coming up, which looks good in my opinion. I'll be taking a -4 to bring him in, as it should pay off in the long run. Okay, so this is quite interesting. Let me get this up a second. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is, and you all probably know about it, is FPL.team, which is in association with Planet FPL in terms of the fixtures. Now, James is an absolute legend, and what he does, I'm just going to get this up for you now. Hopefully you can see that on your screens a minute, but I think it's slightly cut out, isn't it? Give me a second. Okay, hopefully you can see this. We don't do tech on this channel. I do apologise. If you want the techie channels, there are probably better ones out there. So those are the fixtures there. I do apologise if it's not too clear, but we're just kind of quickly going over this. So as mentioned, there is a chance of Bournemouth having another double later on in the season, but that's going to completely depend on other cup results. Now, again, these are not confirmed. The only game weeks that are confirmed right now is game week 28 double, and the blank in game week 29. Outside of that, these are only projections by James at Planet FPL, so please do not read into these too much. He's great, but he isn't a complete oracle. He doesn't know exactly what's going to happen. So his projections currently have Bournemouth to double in game week 37, but he has said there is a possibility that that could get moved into game week 34. Now, for my chip strategy right now, if I was to bring in Neto, it doesn't really matter if they double in game week 37 because I plan on wildcarding in game week 35. So really, to get the full value from Neto, you need that double to fall into game week 34. But based on the projections, it's currently in game week 37, but as I mentioned, James isn't an oracle. He doesn't know anything out of the blue. These are just based on assumptions, odds, bookies odds of teams winning cup games. So if that does fall into game week 34, so for example, if that moves into, where is it? If that moves into game week 34, then Neto looks an obvious -4 this week, but there's no assumption that that is actually going to happen. So for that reason, I am just a little bit cautious that we can't make assumptions that Bournemouth are just going to have a double in game week 34. Unfortunately, we need to be a bit more flexible and understanding that the Premier League are the ones that dictate the fixtures. And unfortunately, we just don't know exactly what is going to happen each and every week that passes. But what we should know is by game week 30, which teams are actually going to be doubling and blanking, which is going to be really beneficial for us. Let me come back onto my team a minute, guys, because I'm conscious that is where I want to leave it on a minute. I do apologise. Let me just sort this out. I think that's better. I think we're back. Beautiful. We're back. We're back. Okay, let's get back through these questions. Would you sell Garnacho to Bowen and bench Foden, not free hitting in game week 29? Don't mind it. I don't mind it. Garnacho has some okay fixtures coming up, as you can see. And there is an expectation that Man United will double in game week 34, so do be cautious of that. But the fixtures are okay, a little bit mixed, but I do like it if you're not free hitting in game week 29. Play double Arsenal defence or sub in Porro. I personally would go for double Arsenal defence every day of the week. Pete, my bench is Areola, Gusto, Garnacho, Saliba, boostable, which is bench boostable. I think Areola definitely has a chance of a clean sheet. Gusto, I don't really think will have a clean sheet potential, but I do think there is a chance for attack and returns. Garnacho looks great. And Saliba, mate, I don't think there are worse bench boosts out there. I think the big thing you need to think of, for me, I'm waiting for game week 37, where I plan a wildcard in 35, bringing in 15 players that have a double, and then bench boosting that week. Depends on your chip strategy. If you're in the same position, maybe wait until 37 is the better time. But if you haven't got the same chip strategy, then I do like it this week. That's a brilliant bench boost. So yes, you have my permission if you want to do it. Nico, sell Ake to Zabanye or sell Guy to him, or even Van Dijk to him. I want Mo Salah around game week 31. Well, that all depends. Van Dijk is obviously much more expensive. If Van Dijk down to Zabanye frees up the cash to Salah, then that's an obvious route for you. And I'm not expecting clean sheets for Liverpool in this game week. So I don't mind the Van Dijk move. However, fixtures from game week 30 onwards are really, really good for Van Dijk. Realistically, it makes sense to sell Guy because he is the one injured and he's expected to be out for a little bit longer. So I probably would do Guy, but of course, does that free up the funds for Mo Salah? Solanke triple captain, yes, I do think Solanke triple captain is the route to go for this week if you have him. Yes, he hasn't fully trained, but what we've seen from a lot of in the nose, they're just protecting him to make sure he's available for the weekend. Now, I'm going to be a little bit selfish for 2 seconds because I really do rate your guys' opinions. I really rate your opinions. You guys are probably better than managers than myself. So I want to ask you a question right now. Here's how my team is looking. For those that don't know, I made a transfer. I done Nathan Ake to Zabanye. He's in for the double. So I've used my one free transfer. Now, coming into the transfer section, I've got 4.1 million in the bank. And my current debate is, do I take a -4 and sell Dubravka? The reason being is Dubravka could have a double in game week 34, which is great. But there is a chance that Nick Pope will be back before double game week 34. So I don't think there's much value in Dubravka. So my temptation right now is to do a -4, Dubravka to Neto, and then starting Neto over Areola. The only issue with it is that, of course, Areola this week has Burnley at home, and I do think there is a good possibility that they could keep a clean sheet this week. So I need you to let me know in the chat right now. I'm going to bring up the planner. Do I just stick with this team, no points hit, or do I sell Dubravka for Neto? Start Neto this week. It will be for a -4, but of course it gives me a double, and I have the double in Zabanye. I'm free hitting in game week 29, and in a game week 30, I'll have Neto at home against Everton. Please let me know in the chat. I'm going to put up a poll right now. Just going to write in Dubravka to Neto. Just going to put a yes or a no to let me know what your thoughts are. It would be for a -4. If you guys could let me know in the poll right now. As I said, basically, it's either I stick with that and I just leave it how it is. The good thing about this team, I've got Areola at home against Burnley, which is good. I think that is a good fixture. I think there's a chance. My only concern is that West Ham played a few days ago in the Europa League, and they have a very tricky tie to turn around against Freiburg on Thursday. So are they going to rest a few players? Potentially. Otherwise, I don't make the move. Free hit in game week 29 as expected. And then we come into game week 30 and I will start Dubravka at home against West Ham. So it's not even like game week 30 is a terrible fixture for my goalkeepers. I have Areola at home against Burnley and I have Dubravka at home against West Ham. The only problem is, of course, I'm expecting Nick Pope to take Dubravka's spot as soon as he's back. And there is an expectation that he could be back around game week 31, 32. So then I would be, after this point, up until game week 34, when I wildcard in 35, stuck with Areola. So then it would be Areola at home against Tottenham, whereas if I did bring in Neto this week, Neto would be at home against Palace. In game week 32, I'd have to play Areola away against Wolves, whereas I could have, for example, Neto away against Luton. I don't think that'd be a guaranteed clean sheet. And then in game week 33, I would have Areola at home against Fulham. So there are weeks that I would play Areola. So let me know in the chat, would you do Dubravka to Neto for a -4, or would you just leave it how it is? Currently, the poll is 47% would do it, 53% wouldn't. This is guaranteed. That is going to be split down the middle, 50-50. So if you haven't voted already, do vote in that poll right now. Let me know your thoughts. Let's get back to the chat. And again, that is my team for those that are wondering. Okay, let's get back through this. Akshat is saying, if you had Richarlison, Powell, Torres, Areola, Turner and one free transfer with Doughty and Solanke doublers for the team, what move would I suggest? Well, it depends if you're playing the free hitting in game week 29, but Richarlison looks like he could be ruled out for this week and maybe next. So if you're not free hitting in game week 29, I would look to maybe do Richarlison to maybe Maddison or Bowen. Otherwise, I think you could roll if you're planning to free... No, sorry, you can't roll if you're free hitting in game week 29. So if you're free hitting in game week 29, I would look to bring in a player that plays this week. And that could include something like Pau Torres to a Bournemouth defender, for example. Nicholas, should I triple captain Solanke, please? Yes, I think Solanke is the best triple captain this week. Cobra, what a name. Bench Tony, Dalot, Foden or De Bruyne. Tony is bench at the moment. I probably agree. Yes, I agree on that move. Captain Salah, Eze or Son. I wouldn't captain Salah even though he is in good form against City historically. I wouldn't go Eze. So probably would default on Son, but I don't like either of those. I do apologise because it's a double game week and we have so many better options available. Lelex, I'm doing very well. I hope you are too. I will need to take a -4 to bring Bowen in for Foden, not free hitting in game week 29. Should I make the move this week in for Burnley or next week against Villa? If you're going to take the -4, I think you probably have to do it this week just to get the upside of the Burnley game. Now, I want to tell you this. I don't know what West Ham team's going to get played. I don't know how priority the Europa League is for David Moyes. They're 1-0 down against Freiburg. They have to win on Thursday to progress in the competition. West Ham pretty safe in the Premier League. Could we see David Moyes put out a second string team or give minutes rest to some big players? Potentially. So I do just want to say to you, I think it probably is worth doing this week. My only concern is I think it's going to be an open game for City versus Liverpool. Foden definitely could return, and you're bringing in Bowen against a Burnley team who are pretty terrible. So I think you probably do have to do it this week. But if you are scared of the Bowen minutes or Foden going off, just do it next week. I probably would do it this week though. James, who should I start between Estupiñán and Garnacho? I would go Garnacho. I think there's a higher ceiling for him this week. Thomas, thoughts on Morris in for Watkins rather than Haaland? Depends on your strategy, mate. If you're free hitting in game week 29, then I don't mind it. But if you're not free hitting in game week 29, you've got to sell Haaland. Neto start over Foden. I would start Foden personally. -4 for Zabanije with Neto goalkeeper. Thomas, it depends who you're selling. Anton, Porro for Zabanije for a -4 and free hitting in game week 29, but then you're selling Porro, who will then have Luton at home in game week 30, which is a really, really good fixture. I don't love it, but you are getting the double, and I'm not expecting a clean sheet for Spurs. So let's say we get down to a 3-2 pointer for Pedro Porro, then there probably is value in it. Yes, I do like it for a -4, but I also don't like it because then you're losing out on Pedro Porro at home against Luton in game week 30. Bench one, Palmer, Watkins or Foden. I probably would bench Foden, but I don't love it. Don't love it, mate. End of the day, sometimes we get these weeks. One thing you need to know, all three of those could get a double-digit return this week. You're just kind of like picking you're basically picking the worst of the best bunch, and they're all fantastic. I probably would bench Foden though. Kenny, Saka flagged is a worry. Yes, it is a worry, but it also sounds like he's fine. It was just precautionary, so I wouldn't be too concerned, mate. Caleb saying -8 for Tony to Solanke, don't mind it. KDB to Saka and Botman to Zabanije, free hitting in game week 29. So, do I like those moves? Yes. KDB to Saka, yes. Botman to Zabanije, yes. Okay, I don't mind those moves, but for a -8, obviously it is a big amount. Do you need to do the KDB to Saka move? I probably would not be tempted to do that one. I would hope for maybe big game Kev to step up that week. Abel is saying, what do you think of my current wildcard draft? Neto, Zabanije, Gusto, Son, Salah, Bowen, Eze, Morris, Solanke, Watkins. Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's decent. My only other thing we'll say to you is another Spurs midfielder, maybe like Maddison, but otherwise I think the team looks good. De Bruyne to Bowen this week for free. Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it, especially if it frees up funds for you to do other things with your team. Animations, I'm doing very well, my friend. So based on the poll right now, quite surprisingly, 52% of people say yes to do Dubravka to Neto for a -4. So you guys are making me very tempted to do it. And I just need to have a little bit of think on whether it is worth doing it or not. I think there's going to be a lot of -4s taken this week. Is it worth it for a -4? I'm going to have a little bit of a think. Clearly you guys do think it's worth it, but it's only 52%. So if you haven't voted already, please do let me know your thoughts. I'll be quite interested to know whether you would take a -4. Ooh, I need to have a little think on that one. Gusto Zabanije, this will mean I lose cash. I don't love it. The reason being is I think Gusto is really good longer term. So no, I'm not huge on that move, mate. Davis family, Haaland to Morris, then thoughts on Walker to Zabanije or Udogie Region for a -4. Or play Walker Taylor instead, not free hitting in game week 29. So you're not free hitting in game week 29. So I like the Haaland to Morris move. But then if you're not free hitting in game week 29, you can't do the Zabanije move. So then I probably would look to bring in Udogie. I know this question might be too early, but can I get to 8 players for game week 29 and they're most of the players people who have a free hit and then want to use it? Yes, so a strategy that a lot of people can do is you dead end to game week 29, you then wildcard out of it and free hit in game week 34. I think that's a perfectly good strategy. The only concern that I have is a lot of people are saying that the free hit in 29 is underwhelming, which I do agree with, because when we do take a look at the fixtures, they're not they're not fantastic, are they? Like, the pool of players that we're choosing from is pretty limited, and I don't really like it. However, what I will say to you is there's a lot of people who are going to take serious points hits just to be able to field 8 or 9 players. So for example, for me to field 9 players in game week 29, I would have to take a -8. So a lot of people are saying that the free hit is underwhelming, which I agree. However, it isn't underwhelming if managers are taking a -8 just to get to 9 players. You've got 11, so you're already, let's say, 2 appearance points from both players up, so you've got 4, and the -8 that they've taken, so you're already 12 points up on those managers, and you have the 11 best players in that game week. What's to say the 9 players that those managers have are not just kind of like scraps, odds and ends players that are just kind of filling the team? So as long as you have, for example, on that list, Tony, Maddison, Son, Watkins, Bowen, you've covered off the main ones, and Doughty of Luton, then you have covered yourself off well. I don't think you have to panic too much because there aren't too many players that can hurt you massively. But I think the argument of the free hit being underwhelming is true, but it isn't, because so many managers are taking points hits to get to the team that you are going to have. So already you've got a massive gain on managers. But of course, there are some people out there whose teams are perfectly balanced and they're doing free transfers to get 11 players out. If you've done that, you are God tier FPL manager. And again, guys, if you haven't already, please do consider dropping a like on the stream. Always aim for 50 on these live streams. If you could help the channel, it'd be massively appreciated. And of course, if you do enjoy the general chat, it'd be cool to have you as a subscriber. Please ignore the Chelsea badge. I am a Chelsea fan, but that shouldn't dictate whether you're a subscriber or not. Please do not leave me just because I'm a Chelsea fan. It's hard enough being a Chelsea fan. Don't punish me more. Okay, so just to confirm, my team right now is Zabanye in for Ake. I am just deliberating whether to do the Dubravka to Neto move for a -4. 53% of you think it is a good move. I need to weigh it up. Testimony saying best defender to bring in if free hitting in game week 29 already owns Zabanye. So if you're free hitting in game week 29, it's all about what comes out the other end. So what I mean by that is, I think Doughty is probably your best defender to bring in, but game week 30 isn't that nice for Luton. When we look at it, game week 30 is away against Spurs, and then Luton are away against Arsenal, and then they have Bournemouth. So I don't love it, but Doughty's probably the best defender to bring in this week for a double. Gordon, hi Nacho. Ake or Kabore for Zabanye? Cheers from Singapore. Well, firstly, awesome to see you tuning in from Singapore. What I will say to you is this. Is there any week you really want Ake? For me, I looked at the fixtures coming up for Ake and I just didn't see a time. No, he blanks. No. Could play him in 31, but it's not an amazing fixture. Away against Palace, yeah. So there's value for Nathan Ake over this period, but I don't really think there is much more outside of that. So for me, when I looked at Ake, he's more expensive and he's going to free up more funds for the team. So for that reason, I probably would say get rid of Ake and just hope that maybe Kabore plays and he's an extra player for you this week. But of course, it all depends on team structure. Thomas, love the content, man. Keep it up, bro. Thank you very much, mate. Niall saying, do you think I should bring in Morris for Haaland if I plan on free hitting in game week 29? If you plan on free hitting in game week 29, I'm not as sold on the move, because then in game week 30, you then have Morris, who is a tough game, in game week 30, away against Spurs. Are you then just going to want Haaland back in your team? I don't love it if you're free hitting in game week 29. I am much more for it if you are free hitting in game week 29. Hopefully that makes sense. Guys, I just realised I've got subscribers only chat. I want to keep it open for everybody because I'm conscious sometimes you just want to ask a question and not subscribe to the channel. So I don't want to completely block off people who aren't subscribers. So again, if you want to put a question in and you're not already a subscriber, don't worry about it. I won't take any offense, but I have opened up the chat now so you can put your questions in. Right, let's fly through some of these because I have missed quite a few. Okay, so we're going to fly through some of these. Would you start Foden or Tony? I would start Foden of the two. Sam, I am. Hope you're doing well, mate. Corey, Bench one of Saka, Foden, Diaz or Gross. Realistically, I'm just going to say in this case, just remind myself who Brighton have because I haven't had him on my radar at all. A great fixture. I wouldn't be benching Gross. I think he's a great differential. So I'll choose one of those three, and it probably will be Diaz to bench, but it's controversial. Elias, I have Bowen, Saka, Foden, Palmer, and Bailey. Who do I bench? Well, firstly, you need to know you are at risk here, but it is what it is. You have a strong squad. Bowen has to start. Palmer has to start. I think Bailey probably has to start in this situation. Toss up between Saka and Foden. It probably would be Foden, but when I say that out loud, I don't like it, so probably then would be Bailey who I would bench. Would you start Garnacho over Foden? I personally haven't, but I do get the argument. I think Garnacho could be a fantastic differential this week. When we look at his underlying numbers, forget City. Nobody done well against City. But 0.2, 1, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5 is his expected goal involvement. I don't love it, but I do think he's a good differential this week. But for me, I just can't bring myself to bench Foden. Kesh is saying, I still have Richarlison. I need to get rid of him, but plan on getting Ake out for Zabanya. Any thoughts? Yes, I don't mind it. You could hold Richarlison for one more week and see if he's going to be available for you in game week 29 and then look to move him out. I don't think it's a desperate move. I think Ake to Zabanya does give you some upside, which is great. So yeah, don't mind that move. Wow, I am miles behind. I do apologise. Where are we? Lilo, so say stick with Areola. There's no guarantee Neto will outscore Areola by plus 4 points to make it worth the hit. Yeah, I think that's fair. Both saying basically you can start Areola game week 29 and start Neto all the other game weeks. Garnacho with a Palmer for you? No. Cobra, definitely not. I think with Palmer being on penalties, he's always going to be starting in my team. Ahmed, should I buy Richarlison or keep him for game week 29 and hope he'll play? I think it's going to be very unlikely that he does play. But if you're not desperate to sell him, then keep hold of him and hope for the best. I think that's absolutely fine. Rami saying, Rami on Hotel Wi-Fi, what a name. Is it still worth it to buy Solanke? I'm tempted just to go with Semenyo. If I was buying one right now, it has to be Solanke. But if you have Semenyo, maybe that's the ultimate differential, but I wouldn't be picking Semenyo over Solanke as my free transfer. Nikat saying, KDB plus Hee-Chan to Bowen plus Son this week, or Hee-Chan to Tavernier and Salah in 30. Oof. That's a really tricky combination here. I prefer Bowen Son coming in. KZ, which transfer would you recommend? Ake Bradley to Doughty or Haaland to Morris? I am playing the free hit in game week 29. Ake to Doughty then for me. Robert Hay just joined. Do you have any updates on Solanke? And would you start Douglas Luiz or Garnacho? Douglas Luiz is unbelievable at home, so I probably would go for Douglas Luiz. And Solanke, it sounds like he's going to be available, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Baggett saying De Bruyne to who? Really, I don't know the context of that question, only because there's so many available. So, like De Bruyne to who? Well, I think you could get Son this week. I think you could get Palmer this week. It completely depends on your chip strategy, mate. I do apologise. If you're on a free hit 29 strategy, which would you do? Do we transfer for bringing Salah in 30 or bring this week Son? Son or Salah, the real question is this. Yes, so I think Son just ticks a lot of boxes right now. He's playing as a number 9. We have no understanding right now whether Mo Salah is not going to have an aggravation to his injury, how his minutes are going to get managed. When we look at the upcoming fixtures for Liverpool, let's just take any player, for example. City at home. Obviously the blank in game week 29. They then have Brighton at home on the Sunday, Sheffield United on the Thursday, Man United on the Sunday. So is there any guarantee Salah plays every minute of all of them? Probably, but I don't think we need to completely rip up our teams for him right now with those small doubts on him. So I probably would just go for Son right now. Jordan, all right, mate, struggling at the moment. Got no free hit available, got no midfielders playing game week 29. Jordan, do you have your wild card? That's the question. Thomas, Nacho, I am free hitting and I would sell Senesi for Zabanya. Yes, I don't mind that at all. Joel, pay Porro this week and take a -4 for Region next week, or get Mengi in this week for a -4 and have the extra fixture. I don't like Mengi. It's just, a Luton defender who offers no attacking returns. I just don't like it. Whereas Zabanye is a centre-back, but I do think there's a chance of a clean sheet. Luton away against Crystal Palace, I just don't see a clean sheet. And then Luton against Bournemouth, I don't see a clean sheet. So you're bringing in a centre-back who's just going to pick up nothing in my eyes. Cobra, I started Garnacho your team. Palmer bench if you don't want Foden benched. I just can't bring myself to bench Palmer. I do apologise. Play Stu over Porro considering the rested midweek. I probably would play Stupinan over Pedro Porro just because I rate the Aston Villa attack so highly. Why would you bench Gordon? Who would you bench, Gordon or Ake? Ake, definitely Ake. Noah, when Mbeumo comes back, would you bring him into your team? No. This is always a perfect situation where Brentford will be a lot better with Mbeumo. Tony will be better with Mbeumo. But I want to see Mbeumo get consistent minutes before even considering him, because it's been a very, very big injury. Samir saying, what about Captaincy on Semenyo? I sold Solanke when there was rumours about his injury. No free transfer available, unfortunately. Yeah, look, I don't think I'll be bringing in Solanke as a sideways move. I probably would just put it on Semenyo and hope for the best. In terms of Semenyo's numbers, obviously I don't actually have him in my team, but let's try and find him on the game a minute. So Semenyo, looking at his returns, goal in game week 27, goal in 25. He scored 5 goals, 3 assists. But when we look at his numbers, 0.49 expected goal involvement, 0.08, 0.08, 0.1. Oh, they're not great. They're not great. Who else do you have? But they are great fixtures, so maybe he does buck the trend a little bit. His numbers go through the roof. But I don't love it. Animations, cheers mate, appreciate your thoughts. I think the value of getting Maddison a defender, another mid, won't be that high. Yeah, that's fair mate, that is totally fair. Hexo, start a Stupinan over or Porro. I'll start a Stupinan probably, only because I do think that Porro is going to concede. That is like the kind of assumption in my mind. But again, that's all we can do is assume. Sometimes. Start Bailey or Foden. Oof. That's tough. Because Spurs defensively are poor, so I would expect Aston Villa to score, and Bailey's been fantastic. Foden up against a better team, but in fantastic form, and his numbers are great. I'd probably start... I honestly can't give you an answer here. I probably would start... Foden. I'd probably start Foden, and just because I really rate Udogie, and I think if anybody's going to lock up Leon Bailey in a game, I think Udogie has the ability to do so. I think I've seen good things from Udogie to think that he can lock up wingers, and I think there is a chance he could do so against Leon Bailey. KDB to Salah, no, I do not like that move this week. Behind the Arc fan, thoughts on Nottingham Forest, like Elanga and Gibbs White players after game week 28? Well, looking at the fixtures for them, I do apologise. I haven't really been considering these sorts of players. So fixtures coming up. Decent. Good fixtures actually for Nottingham Forest. In terms of numbers, I do think Elanga is just the natural temptation for the team. Gibbs White is decent. Obviously, we think he's on penalties. Decent numbers, to be fair. Good game time. I think Gibbs White is a great option. In terms of Elanga's numbers, where the heck is Elanga? By the way, Origi not an option for those that are wondering. Elanga is here. Numbers are better for Elanga. I would be more tempted by him, and his minutes are pretty solid. But I do think Gibbs White is like kind of the talisman and the heartbeat of that team. Bournemouth midfielder for Hwang -4. This would mean benching Gross. No. I just don't like the Bournemouth midfielders. You could get lucky and get the right one. Like, in terms of the ones available, let's just narrow it down. So, we have got top bracket Tavernier. Numbers are pretty steady. Minutes, sporadic. You might get both games out of him, you might not. Kluivert, cheap as chips. Minutes, doesn't play over 70 minutes, but decent-ish numbers. Don't love it over Pascal Gross. And then we got Christie. I mean, again, tricky to predict the minutes. Numbers are pretty poor. I think we're just taking a punt here with a Bournemouth midfielder. Whereas when we take a look at somebody like Gross, I mean, they're out of the Europa League, aren't they? Look at that firstly, 124 points. When we look at his numbers, much better numbers, much better guaranteed game time. And when we look at bonus points as well, which is in here, this is bonus points here, 3, 2, 3, 3. If he does anything in the game, he racks up monster hauls. That's why he is doing so well. You can see here, 7, 8, 10, 11. I would just go for Pascal Gross personally to start him. He has a good fixture as well, a very good fixture at home against Nottingham Forest. However, he's not injured, is he, Pascal Gross? Hang on. Have I just given you like a false hope? No, there's no injury on Pascal Gross. Is Neto worth a -4? I have Kaminsky and Flecken, and if it is worth, who should I transfer? You have a doubler this week. No, I'll just play your doubler and Kaminsky 100%. He's one of those perfect examples where, yes, I don't foresee a clean sheet, but I could see huge hauls if he does get the save points. Bubba Bebe, whatever that name is, 8 players for next game week is okay, or make some minus points. I'm not planning free hit. Yeah, so wait until you get to game week 29. See how your team looks. Some injuries could arise. The big issue is you might have 8 players, but all it takes is 1 injury, 2 injuries, and all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, I've got 5 players, and one of them is Charlie Taylor. So see how this game week happens, and then see what you land on in game week 29. Opinions on playing Metham to have, yeah, like Metham's fine, but there is a chance of him coming out the team if they get any of their injured players back. That's the only concern. Cobra, I hope you're well, mate. Dylan, morning. I have Bell, Taylor, or Region as third defender. Is it worth a hit? And if so, who? I mean, you've got Bell, who's likely to double, Taylor, who plays, Region, who plays in game week 29. Depends what you're looking for, really, mate. Realistically, the only one I'll consider here is maybe doing Taylor to Zabanye, for example. Bench Garnacho KDB. I have PTSD from benching a 10 point. Yeah, so look, that is such a tough one, but I just think if you own Kev, you have to play him in every single game, otherwise you sell him. So for me, you have to start Kev. Sell Ake or a Stupinan for Zabanye. Well, I would sell Ake personally. Kazab, which transfer would you recommend? Haaland to Morris or Ake Bradley to Doughty? Depends what your strategy is, mate, but I do like the sound of doing Haaland to Morris if you are not free hitting in game week 29. Otherwise, I like the Ake to Doughty move. Jonah, hey Nacho, which transfer is better? Foden to Barkley Bowen or Haaland to Morris? They would be a -4. I'm not free hitting in game week 29. If that's the case, they would be for a -4. If it's for a -4, I think you have to go for Haaland to Morris because he has the double and a favourable game in game week 29, so there's more chance of him returning that -4. But it is scary getting rid of Haaland. When did you plan on wildcarding? Okay, so just to give you guys a little bit of a run through, haven't made my other transfer yet because I'm still debating it, but this is my rough plan, okay? So team looks like this, for example. Let's say I do the Neto move as a -4. He's in, boom, boom, save the team. Game week 29, I would play my free hit. So imagine that being my free hit, I'll use it. Game week 30 is a big deliberation right now. I would then have to decide whether I want to bring in Mo Salah. Team looks pretty good, but what I do like the look of, and again, it would come down to how Salah looks in their games, is I would get rid of Saliba. I know, controversial, but it does help to change the structure of my team, which inevitably will have to happen. And I would get rid of Gusto, and controversially, I would have to sell Foden for, not Saliba, Mo Salah. That is an easy way of me getting him in. No, I can't because I am -1 out. I thought I could bring him in. Interesting. I will have to check that one out. Oh, no, I can do it because I think I bought Zabanye at a cheaper price than what it's telling me. regardless, I do apologise. Basically, my plan right now is to do wildcard in 35 and then bench boost in 37. Yes, I would triple captain with Solanke. What I'm going to do right now is just see if there is any recent news on Twitter. Let me just quickly check. Can I see anything? I can't see any news. I cannot see anything here, so I'm just going to assume. Yeah, but I can't see anything right now, so I'm just going to assume that there's been no real kind of like team leaks or anything worries. Yeah. Okay, we're going to do a few more questions, then we're going to wrap it up just because, as always, I do need to jump on my TikTok live at 10 a.m. So, as always, if you are enjoying the stream, please do consider dropping a like and subscribing if you want to, really. If you want to, no pressures. Okay, start Gabriel or Zabanye. You have to start Zabanye with the double. You have to. Nico, if you don't have a Bournemouth defender goalkeeper, should I get one for a -4? I am free hitting in game week 29. Nico, depends who you're selling. Let me know in the chat who you plan on selling. But I do like it for a -4 this week. Kubaratnam, great name. Bowen, Foden, Palmer. You can only start 2 of them. Which 2 keep up the great work? Mate, I would have to bench Foden, controversially. It would just have to be because Bowen at home against Burnley and Palmer with their fixture, I just don't think you can look past it. Cat Cag, what a great name. I'm a little late to the stream, no worries at all. But what's your thoughts about Haaland to Morris when you're not free hitting a game week 29? Yes, then I do like the move. I know it's scary, but Haaland has a tough game this week. He then blanks, and then he has Arsenal in game week 30. Morris doubles and then plays in game week 29. I do like the move. KDB out, Salah in. No, I don't love it right now. Zarin saying, start Palmer or Douglas Luiz. I would go for Palmer, personally. Newcastle defence still quite poor. Palmer on penalties, similar to Douglas Luiz, but I would go for Palmer. Nico, start Van Dijk or Ake. I would go for Van Dijk just for the attacking potential. He is a beast when it comes to corners. Discipline, determination, dedication has asked who to bench out of Gordon, De Bruyne, Foden. Ugh. Look, if you're paying that much money for De Bruyne, I don't think you can ever bench him. That's just my thought process in FPL. Is if you're paying 10 million for an asset, they're fixture proof. Like, it's the same as Son, same as Salah. If you pay that much money, you play him in whatever fixture. So for me, you might have a different opinion. You have to pay De Bruyne every game. I would play Foden and bench Gordon. Boy in the autumn. I'm so conflicted as to whether to start Palmer, Garnacho, or Douglas Luiz. Whew. I think all 3 are brilliant differentials this week in their own right. Palmer, not necessarily differential. Look, I'm a Chelsea fan, so I'm going to be a little bit... I would start Palmer over Garnacho because Palmer has penalties, which is a big factor. So Palmer definitely starts out of those 3. Then it comes down to Garnacho with the better fixture versus Douglas Luiz, who averages like 7 points at home and is on penalties. It's a coin flip between the 2, mate. I probably would start Douglas Luiz, controversially. Start 2, Estupiñán, Cash, Gibbs White, and Ake. Okay, so Estupiñán I would just start and hope for the best. Cash, who knows if he plays. I would start Estupiñán and Gibbs White, personally. Start Luiz or Palmer. I know Palmer's on pens, but so is Luiz Lelex. What I'm going to say to you is this. I think both could really hurt you this week, but I'm going to go for Palmer. I'm going to lean towards Palmer. Sonam saying, is it good that I replace Saka with Palmer? I wouldn't do that this week, no. Morris, start Gordon or Foden? I would go for Foden, but I know it makes no sense because Chelsea are pretty crap. So, look, Gordon at home's a beast. Away, he's not as influential, but Chelsea defence is awful as well. So, is that a little bit of Chelsea bias? Probably, but I just find it very difficult to bench Foden when he's in such great form. KDB to Bowen, yes, I don't mind it if you're not free hitting in game week 29. Liv, start Saka. Yes, definitely start Saka. Kakares is saying, hi, need to start 2 of Bailey, Garnacho and Palmer. What's your opinion? A lot of people have got tough benching headaches this week. Look, I'm benching Garnacho and you can see my team. So I do have Palmer over Garnacho because he's on penalties. Bailey versus Garnacho is interesting because I do think Udogie has the ability to lock up Leon Bailey. I've seen him really perform well in 1v1 situations. So I do think Udogie does have the potential that he could tie down Leon Bailey and kind of reduce his influence. We saw Leon Bailey twist up Nottingham Forest defenders, but I don't see Udogie really doing that. So I'm going to say probably Garnacho, but it is the early kickoff. Would you start Foden or Gross? I would start Gross. Benny, should I sell Haaland to Morris for -4 as I'm not free hitting 29 and wildcard in 30, already have Tony Watkins? Yes, it's a move that a lot of people have spoke about, and I do think it is a controversial one, but when you do break it down, it's a double for Morris and he plays in game week 29. So it's 3 games for Morris versus 1 for Haaland. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Especially if you're looking to bring him in. The only downside is that you're losing value on Haaland. That's it. Sihab saying, I'm on a -4. Do I take another hit for Dubravka Neto? Sihab, you're in the exact same boat as me. And I did say on this stream, I would confirm whether I'm going to make that move or not. I don't know whether it's worth it. I do foresee a potential West Ham clean sheet. But equally with them playing on Thursday night and losing, their attention is going to be on getting through in the Europa League a little bit. So there is a solid chance that Burnley could hit them on a off day. Look, we have to think about it this way. Let's think about it logically, because I'm in the same boat, so this is going to help both of us. Let's get up the underlying numbers for Sheffield United and Luton away from home, okay? So, away from home, in terms of goal threat, XG, okay? So this is this column here that has been highlighted. This is away from home. Per 90 minutes, bottom is Sheffield United. They are averaging 0.69 XG away from home. That's awful. Luton, on the other hand, averaging 1.13, slightly better. So, based on the attacking numbers, Sheffield United does look like a great opportunity for a clean sheet for them. The issue, you will be looking to bench Areola, and he's up against the second worst attack away from home in Burnley, only 0.82 expected goals. Now, in terms of at home for defensive, because of course we're looking to bring in a Bournemouth player, what are their numbers looking like? Well, Bournemouth at home, 1.38 expected goals conceded, which is better than United, Fulham, Wolves, Brentford, Spurs, West Ham. West Ham's expected goals conceded at home is 1.67. It's not good, but they're playing a crap attack. So, how do we decide this? Well, let's say Areola on bonus points this season has accumulated, this is the column here, this one here, he has accumulated 11 bonus points. Decent going. But they haven't kept many clean sheets at all. At all. So let's say Areola picks up a 6-pointer and Neto concedes them both, but he appears and he gets a save point in each. Let's say he racks up 6 points minimum. I think Neto's baseline is 6 points personally. So if Areola does keep that clean sheet, then he's matched Neto's base, absolute worst case scenario in my eyes. So the -4 is not worth it in that case. However, all it takes is a Burnley goal, Areola down to 2 or 3-pointer, and then the 4-pointer is the -4 is worth it. And we'd argue we got a better goalkeeper for the foreseeable game weeks with a potential double in game week 34. So the -4 doesn't sound great. And like I said, I think the minimum Neto gets is 6 points. So it does put a lot of pressure on Areola to get that clean sheet. And then, if Neto does get a clean sheet, 6 points for the clean sheet and appearance, and then 3 for an appearance and a save point, let's say, then we're looking at a 9-pointer. Even if Areola does keep the clean sheet, the 4-pointer is close. I think it's minimal. I don't think we need to stress too much about it. I do think that if it was an attacking player, I think the ceiling's so much higher and we get a bit more excited and we think, what is the possibilities? But I think it's going to be a case of we're either going to break even or it's going to be 1 or 2 points better off or worse off. So, with all this said and done, Ariel at home against Burnley looks like a fantastic fixture. And they're playing on the 2 p.m. I think I'm going to make the move. Controversially, I think I'm going to make the move. For a -4 for a Burnley, for a Bournemouth. Chat, quickly put in the chat. Would you do, put yes or no, just quickly type it in. Would you do Dubravka to Neto? I know you voted in the poll. I'm going to get rid of that because that is a little bit old. Would you do Dubravka to Neto for a -4? Just put a yes or a no. Let me know. I'll quickly answer some of these while we're doing it. Haaland to Solanke for a -4. Only like it if you're free hitting in game week 29. Bench Salah or Maddison. Ugh. Probably bench Maddison. And Morse Trentley saying no. Yes. Start Neto or Garnacho. I'll start Garnacho. Benny saying no. Liv saying no. Ooh. No, -4 not worth it for a keeper. I do agree on that. See, when in doubt, do nothing. I do like that logic. I think go for it. There's not too much in it. Your gut is saying yes, go for it. Yes, no. Wolverine's in the chat. Looking forward to the new movie with Deadpool. Okay, so unfortunately we're going to have to wrap this up. Let's finish off with this. I don't think there is anything in it between the two. I think, like I said, Neto is going to get a minimum 6 points. Let me know if I'm being wrong there, but I think if they're going to concede, I think he probably does get 3 saves. So let's say 2 for appearing. And do we see Luton scoring 3 goals? Probably not. Do we see Sheffield United score 3 goals? Absolutely not. So let's say a minimum 3 for Zap. I would start Garnacho with the 2. Let's say a minimum for Neto in the Sheffield game and a minimum 3 for the Luton game. So 6 points for Neto. And we probably think Areola gets maximum 6, maybe 7. Look, he isn't going to get penalty saves every week, remember. So then we add the -4. Neto's going to be on net 2. So realistically, Neto's going to have to get 1 clean sheet to justify the -4, basically. Neto has to get a clean sheet, 6-pointer, 3 on top 9, -4 to do worse than Areola's clean sheet. Look, chat, what we're going to do is this. I'm going to say I'm not going to make the move. However, if you do want to stay up to date with it, what I will do, if I make the move, I will post it in the kind of community section of my channel where you just kind of like type notes. So if you do want to stay up to date, make sure you check that out, or you can obviously just jump into my TikTok live I'm going to do in a minute. So I'm going to wrap it up now. Yes, Zap, I said Garnacho, mate. Thank you those that have answered him in the chat. So look, we're going to wrap it up here. I'm planning on not doing the move, but if I do make it last minute, I will put it in the community section. You'll see it come up as like a post, so do check that out. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to wrap it up now because I have to jump on a TikTok live, but if you are interested in that, I will see you over on there. Yeah, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for tuning in. As I said, please do, if you're not already, consider subscribing to the channel. We are aiming for 13k between now and the end of the season, but it is a little bit of a long shot because I'm like 600 out, so it probably won't happen. But if you're not already and you do enjoy the content, it'd be awesome to have you on board this season. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune into this stream. I know there's a lot of content creators out there. So many are better than this realistically, but I really do appreciate you guys jumping in onto this this chat, even if it was for a few minutes. I really do appreciate it. We're going to wrap it up. I will see you in probably a video on Monday. Have a great week. Hopefully you have a green arrow and a great weekend. Take care, guys. Cheers.